special guest to the show today. She's a professional photographer, a speaker, a host, a consultant, a documentarian, and an ancestry partner with more than 20 years of experience as a genealogist. She's got extensive experience in African ancestor genealogy and reverse genealogy. She's an expert in genealogical research in the northeastern Louisiana area and researching enslaved communities. And she is here to talk about some special stuff that she's got going on with herself, but also some new resources that may be available to you. She's a citizen of the Cherokee Nation of Oklahoma, a member of two lineage societies, Sons and Daughters of the Middle Passage and the National Society of the Daughters of the American Revolution, a past board member of the California Genealogical Society. Nicka Smith, good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome to the front page and congratulations to you.
Thank you so much. It's actually really good to be home. I'm a native Southern California girl, so I grew up listening to you on the radio as I was coming up in Lakewood and out inland in Moreno Valley. So it's just a blessing to be able to talk to you this morning.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, congratulations to you. You have a show, an ancestry show. I'm not quite sure what that looks like, but I'm excited to hear how it's going to be.
Yeah, so coming up soon is going to be Questions and Ancestors, and it is going to be a show that's going to be featuring notable people who, have ties to the Black community and talking with them about their unique family histories and things that we can learn and pass on and just add to our lives as a result of looking into, who we come from, where we come from, and what our folks have experienced and how that can feed into, to our lives now.
It's really, in some cases, it's really game-changing for people, right? I mean, I remember, just some of the work that Henry Louis Gates has done where people are really either uplifted or they just want to bury that ancestor and not face the music. Right.
You're absolutely right. I think really we have a unique opportunity to learn American history from a very specific and targeted frame point. When we look at our individual family stories, within American history, it doesn't become, where it's just kind of far flung, where when you were in school, you were talking about notable people, but you really weren't necessarily finding your ancestral story within the fabric of the country. And so, again, some of the things can be surprising. Some of them can be, incredible to learn. But then there's also a lot of painful aspects that we may encounter as well. And so all of that is the full totality of what it is to be Black in America. We just have a very complex, very complicated, and in some ways a very in spite of or despite, still being able to make something, despite the experience that many of us have had.
It's Radio Free 102.3 KJLH, Compton, Los Angeles, Long Beach, and Inglewood. Well, your bio says you're a family historian. So obviously you're going to be, a TV historian, and you already have been. You've been on the Today Show, CNN, MSNBC, and more. But what is a family historian? Should we all be family historians?
Absolutely, we should be. And I think a lot of folks don't really realize that they are. If you were that nosy kid, that was sitting under the table when your mom and your dad, were having folks over playing bid whist and spades, listening to all of the different stories, that were being told across the table, or if you were, always kind of sat at your grandparents' knee or on our uncle's knee and just kind of listened to what they were talking about, especially, being from Southern California, so many people down there have ties to states like Oklahoma and Louisiana and Mississippi. And so maybe even you took a trip back down south during the summer. And there are so many aspects of the tools and the tips and tricks that we use as family historians that everyone has. But I don't think that everyone really thinks about themselves in that frame of mind. Are you the person that that all of your nieces and nephews call when they have a family tree assignment that they have to do in school? And if that's you, or if you've always had an interest in learning more about your ancestors, maybe just from gathering photos, or maybe you're like my grandmother was, who, was the person that went to all the funerals, and so she had all of the programs. You're still preserving aspects of your family story. And so indeed, you really, truly are a family historian.
Yeah, I think it's really important to do that. My mom recently, in October of last year, my mom made her transition, and one of my young nephews revealed to the family that he had been interviewing Mom at the nursing home for years. She really wouldn't talk to just anybody, and he sent everybody copies of these tapes with just these long interviews about family history. And I think a lot of us were really grateful for that information. I think that's especially true of people of African descent, like just to interview your elders, whether it's on video or just taking notes yourself. If we don't, that information may be lost forever, right?
Absolutely. I mean, I commend your nephew for doing that, because so many people, they go through life and they don't actually think about documenting, the lives of our ancestors or people who were with us, much more recently, until they're gone. So the fact that he took the initiative to do that is incredible. And I think it's a model that other people should follow. Even right now with what we're dealing with the pandemic, we're using so many online tools. And so, even within my own family, we've been sharing a lot of oral history, and we've been, literally recapping different aspects or different happenings in the family from various lines, because we meet every week on Zoom. And so we can really use these tools as a means to preserve our history. Maybe schedule Zoom meetings where you have the elders call in and you just record them and you ask them all the same questions, because we're really losing a lot of people. And not only that, but with those folks goes the history. And so there's a saying that Alex Haley had that every time an elder dies, it's like a library burning to the ground. And so we want to preserve as many of those books that are within that library as we possibly can.
Okay, so I got to take a break right here, but when we get back, you're going to tell us about some new resources that are going to be available at large for people digging into their own family history, particularly people of African descent. Continuing our conversation with genealogist Nicka Smith. You can call 520-KJLH, 520-5554 if you're trying to be that family sleuth and you have a question, or you just want to know how these things work. Give us a call. Got an opinion? Conversation? The lines are open. It's Radio Free 102.3 KJLH and KJLHradio.com.